let's take a look then. What can leaders possibly do differently? Initially, what I would suggest is model what you invite your people to become. Hypocrisy is a real turnoff for all of us, and people may not see things accurately. So if they're just seeing your behavior but there's no interaction with you, they might have a different interpretation about things than if they had different levels of interaction with you. Secondly, be consistent, be reliable, be dependable. That might sound really boring, and it might be, but the truth is, all the data from the research shows that employees need stability in their leaders. They don't like to be surprised. They want to know that there's direction established. We go for that thing. Yes, things do change, but then they look to how does the leader communicate that a change is afoot. And all of that communication and that behavior, that consistency, that reliability, that dependability, that all goes toward forming in the mind of that employee that they're going to look to you as someone that they would consider is influential for them. Provide regular, helpful, and honest feedback and assessment. Believe it or not, this is one of the top 3 items for most employees. Most employees don't feel that they know where they stand. Again, I'm not speaking just the real estate industry here. The data that I have goes across all industries. And yes, some organizations are better than others, but on average, this is what I'm speaking to, is that most employees say that they don't get enough time with their leader to understand where we're going, why we're going there, why it's important, and how they're doing. Both how they're doing in terms of what's not up to standard and what needs to improve, but also what was done really well. Be a stand for the values of the company and performing against desired outcomes. So a lot of the things that you'll see in this presentation today sound like they're skewed toward the positive end. And they are. But see, the challenge of being a leader is, as a leader, you're accountable for those outcomes. Right? So how do you walk that fine line where you're supportive, you're being consistent, reliable, you're giving people good feedback, you're trying to encourage your people versus just judging their performance, and at the same time, you're being that stand for those things. That's the art of leadership, and it goes to the core of something we say that leadership occurs as a conversation. That's what you have to manage, is you have actions and you have conversations. So it's learning how to manage those conversations well, especially the difficult ones, that can make all the difference in the results that you can produce as a leader. Develop yourself and then freely share your expertise. If necessary, roll up your sleeves if people want the help. And I'm not saying intrude on people, but a lot of times people don't know how to do what you all know how to do so well, particularly if they're young in the industry. They don't want to look like they don't know, so they're unlikely to go and say, hey, I really haven't done this before. Can you give me a hand, or can you at least point me in the right direction? Oftentimes, developing the kind of relationship with your people where they feel free to say to you, I need help. And have that not show up for them as I've just killed my career. Be accessible. Many times when I've gone into different organizations, one of the things I hear a lot is, I can't ever get to my boss. They're too busy, and I feel guilty trying to interrupt them with stuff that I know that they just want me to handle. So I just go and handle it. Again, you got to create the conversations with your people to create the environment where people can feel that you're accessible. And I don't say that to put another rock in your rucksack as one more thing that you have to do, but there's balance in all of these things. Just a place to look. Find appropriate ways to show people that you care, not just about the work, but about them. And that is a very individualized thing, but it's knowing your people well enough to know how does it show up for each of them to look to you and say, I feel they really care about me, not just the work. Don't BS people. If you don't know, say so. I can't tell you how many times, because when we go into organizations and we sit down with people, a lot of times we'll shadow people in their meetings. And it's really fascinating to see some leaders who, around their people, they never want to look like they don't know. Because they feel, and this is common for most leaders, they feel that they got to their position because they know more, or they do it better. And so they don't want to let people see that there's something that came up that they've never done before. They don't know how to do. And what they don't realize is the magic of those three words, I don't know, because they're followed by three other words, let's find out, and let's find out together. Right? So being willing to be vulnerable and let your people see that, yeah, you're not God. You don't know everything. You're not all powerful. There are things that come up that you've never done before. And you know what? If you can find the courage to basically grab your people and say, hey, never done this before. Let's go figure out how to do this together. People are going to look at that and go, wow, that's impressive. That's the kind of person I want to be when I grow up. So just, again, something to think about. Finally, listen well. It's tempting, particularly if you're nervous about something, to fill the silence with a lot of words. But oftentimes, if you want to build influence with people, it's speaking less and listening more and asking questions. So don't be afraid to listen well.